Yo, listen up, fam! If you're tired of the government and the Fed straight up robbing you blind with their trash ass fiat currencies, then you're gonna wanna hear what Robert Kiyosaki has to say.
Gold, silver, or Bitcoin do you own? And why I sent this here is because I first started buying silver in 1964 when I was 17 years old. And the reason is I didn't know. I was a kid, a high school kid, and I saw this little copper tinge around the dimes and the quarters and the half dollars. I didn't know what that means, but there's a law called Gresham's Law. And Gresham's Law says there's something that we as human beings know what's real or fake. And apparently, as a kid, I kind of knew that anything with a copper tinge around the silver, I mean, the dime, quarter, or half dollar was fake. So I used to caddy for the golf. I played golf, so I caddied to make money to pay for my golf. And I would take my caddy money and I take it into the bank and I trade it in for rolls of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. And I'd go through the coins. And if I saw anything with copper on it, I'd kick it back. And then I'd rewrap them and take it back to the bank with extra money. So I did that for about a year. I just kept collecting dimes, quarters, and half dollars. And I had this whole bag of what they call bulk silver today. But I just kind of knew it was fake. And then I went off to school in New York. And when I came home, my mother spent it. she she apparently did not know the difference between real silver and fake silver, but that's why our family was poor. But anyway, then in Vietnam, I got to Vietnam in January 1972, and as soon as I got there, my rich dad sent me a letter, but those was snail mail. I mean, it took a long time to mail to get to you. And he says, "Watch out!" He says, "The world's going to change." Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and I didn't even know what gold was because we weren't allowed to own gold. In 1933, I believe it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So I didn't know what gold was. So my co-pilot and I fly behind enemy lines because the North Vietnamese army had run south and the gold mine was in its way. So we're flying behind enemy lines, and that's when I started negotiating. Gold was at $35 an ounce in 1971. And by the time I got to the gold dealer at this gold mine, it was a little Vietnamese woman with red teeth. And I tried to buy gold from her at a discount. So I thought, well, it's $35 an ounce. It's $50 an ounce today because it was starting to rise. And she wouldn't move. She says, no, it's spot. Spot. I didn't know what spot meant. And here we are, my co-pilot and I were college graduates. And this little Vietnamese woman, I don't think she went to college, but she knew more about money than he and I did. But that was my introduction to gold. And I didn't buy any gold that day, but I let our aircraft carrier sailed into Hong Kong. And that's when I bought my first gold coin, a Krugerrand, for about $50. I still have that Krugerrand today, and it's worth approximately $2,000. So that's why I'm kind of a gold bug. So I don't save dollars because I don't trust the US dollar.
Back in 2020, Kiyosaki had a doomsday scenario that might have had some of you shitting bricks. But trust me, his crypto investment strategies turned out to be the real deal. I'll also be sharing Michael Saylor's take on the Bitcoin versus gold topic. So, if you want to learn how to bulletproof your money against the dying dollar, you need to stick around for this one. Oh, and by the way, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe if you want to stay in the loop on all the latest financial plot twists. Let's get it.
But the average person has been conditioned to think about paper, fake money, fake dollars. At the same time, they're printing as much money as they possibly can. They give it to their rich friends. They don't give it to us. And then they print it and interest rates keep going down. So in 1974, when I got out of the Marine Corps, if I had $1 million, which I didn't, I could put $1 million in 74 into a savings and loan, a bank, in a certificate of deposit, and they would pay me 15% on my $1 million. So a lot of people have made a lot of money. They just put their money into the bank and they're being paid 15% interest. So $1 million back in 74 was worth approximately $150,000. Now it's not a lot of money to retire on, but you could have retired on $150,000 in 1974. Today, I take $1 million into the bank, I might get 2%. So that means it went from $150,000 to $20,000. And after taxes, that $20,000 might be worth $15,000. In other words, since 1974, the US dollar has lost 90% of its value, and people still say to their kids, save money. You've got to be crazy.
The bottom line is, fiat currencies are getting weaker and weaker, while those in power just keep churning out more of the stuff. So, it seems Kiyosaki's had enough of this rigged system. He's made it his mission to expose the truth and show people how to protect their wealth. And you know what he's turning to as the solution? Cryptocurrencies, gold, and silver, these hard assets are his way of sticking it to the corrupt central banks and safeguarding his money against the dying dollar.
Possible today, I mean, who knows what can happen today? But the point here is this, you have to look at what the problem is. And the problem is the American economy is crushed. Our pensions are crushed. That's why I wrote the book, Who Stole My Pension? Because the authors, Ted Siddell and myself, Ted's the #1 whistleblower on pensions in America. And both his father and my father lost their pensions. And Danielle, that's coming. So the pension problem, which was now it's all been stuffed with the CMBS's collateralized mortgage-backed securities, the same as the derivatives of 2008. It hasn't gotten any better. It's gotten worse since 2008. So as gold goes down, in my opinion, that's good. But the sleeper of all, as you know, I'm on Lear Capital, but Lear doesn't pay me. I am sincere when I say I buy silver, because the biggest trend coming now, let's say America does go socialist or Marxist, which it is, it's this Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is they're going to take the money away from oil and they're going to give it to capitalists who understand green energy. They're going to start giving their money to solar and all that. So solar is jumping and all this. So anything the communist socialists of America are backing is good for us. But that makes it for silver, because silver is used in,
It was already starting to come up, so I started buying it around 9,000. And today I think it's around 15 or 16,000. I don't know what it is. I don't count that. I just count the number of coins I have. That's it. And I'm buying more. The reason I like gold, silver, and Bitcoin is this. The trouble with the US dollar, the more it drops in value, the more they print. Let me say that again. The US dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, as it drops in value, because interest rates keep dropping, they print more of it, and people save it. Talk about losers. Get it through your head. They're printing it. It's getting worth, it's worth less and less and less. Whereas Bitcoin, the thing I like about it, excuse me, because the more valuable, more expensive Bitcoin gets, they print less of it. It's called a halving. So the price goes up, but the quantity comes down. And check the dollar out. The value of the dollar comes down, but they print more of it. Why would you save it? But it's the same with gold and silver.
And that's why he's so bullish on Bitcoin's long-term potential. He's talking about it hitting $1 million a coin or more in the next 5-10 years. Imagine how much wealth you could build by getting in on that kind of action. But it's not just Bitcoin. Kiyosaki's also a big believer in good old-fashioned gold and silver. These precious metals have stood the test of time as safe havens, and Kiyosaki sees them as crucial components of a diversified portfolio that can withstand the dollar's steady decline.
So they're going to have to keep printing more fake US dollars or pesos or yen or euro, whatever you're saving. But right now, if you can get your hands on gold, silver, or Bitcoin, I don't care which one, but it's better than saving fake money.
Apparently, Kiyosaki thought that if we found a working COVID-19 vaccine, It could lead to a major crash in the prices of Bitcoin, gold, and silver. Kiyosaki's theory was that if the pandemic-related uncertainty goes away, investors were going to start pulling their money out of these safe haven assets and piling back into the traditional financial system, stocks, bonds, the whole 9 yards. And that would mean a serious consolidation or pullback in the prices of Bitcoin, gold, and silver. But here's the thing. Kiyosaki still believes these are sound long-term plays, even with that potential short-term risk. He never said to abandon Bitcoin, gold, and silver altogether. In fact, he's still heavily invested in them himself. Kiyosaki was just trying to prepare us for the possibility of a temporary dip. Because in his mind, the underlying issues with the US dollar and the broader financial system aren't going away anytime soon. In the end, every pullback in the market should be seen as an opportunity to load up on more Bitcoin, gold, and silver at a discount. Because Kiyosaki's convinced these assets are going to be the real winners as the dollar continues its steady decline.
So I like Bitcoin. I'm glad I bit the bullet at 9,000. It was hard because, gold was only about 1,800. So to buy Bitcoin was hard. But I'm glad I have it today. I'm still planning on buying more because I think, Bitcoin is probably going to go to $50,000. Gold's going to go to $15,000 and silver will probably go to $200. And you're going to buy it then? I have a very, very good friend. He's a pilot in the Marine Corps with me.
Even if it's just 5–10% of your overall investments, Kiyosaki believes it's crucial to have a solid allocation to these hard assets that can hold their value against a declining dollar. That way, you're not putting all your eggs in the fiat currency basket and risking getting wiped out. But the overarching message from Kiyosaki is clear. You can't afford to just stick with traditional cash savings anymore. The dollar is getting weaker by the day, and those meager interest rates certainly aren't keeping up with inflation. All right, folks, as we draw the curtains on Kiyosaki's viewpoint, remember to stay informed and keep exploring the evolving landscape of these alternative assets. Whether it's 10% of your portfolio or 50%, make sure you've got some exposure to the working narratives in the market right now. And of course, here is Michael Saylor's take on the Bitcoin versus GLOD debate.
Bitcoin is certainly at least digital gold. It's going to eat gold. It's got all of the great attributes of gold, and it's got none of the defects of gold. If you could teleport gold from New York to Tokyo in a few minutes, people would like it. It's going to divert capital from risk assets and risk ETFs like SPY, and you can see that these ETFs are doing that. It's going to be incorporated into a lot of funds like the BlackRock Global Opportunities Fund or the Strategic Income Opportunities Fund. And so it's an asset class. As it goes into other funds, it's going to become structural. The halving is going to cut the organic supply of natural sellers in half around April 20th. That means there's only about $32 million a day of natural sellers. And the price of Bitcoin is going to have to adjust up in order to meet that investor demand. So I think that's what's going to happen next to the asset class.
Because as the US dollar continues its steady decline, crypto is definitely looking like the key to safeguarding your financial future. So don't sleep on this, fam. Your wealth depends on it. If you got value from this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks again for watching and see you in the next one.